So Tovah, tell us a bit about where you are and why this place means so much to you.
Thanks so much for having me. I am at the Earth Ranger Center. So you can see behind me, that's our office. We're really lucky enough to actually be located in a conservation area. So we're at the Courtright Center, which is just north of Toronto and is a Toronto and Region Conservation Authority property. It is definitely my outdoor oasis. I always thought of myself as kind of a city person. I grew up in Miami. I moved to Toronto to go to U of T and always lived downtown and worked downtown. And when I came to Earth Rangers just over 11 years ago, I really discovered nature here, I would say, and fell in love with it. And going for walks in the woods and runs in the woods has become part of really my daily routine now.
And tell us a bit about the work that the Earth Rangers is doing these last few months.
Sure. So Earth Rangers is the kids conservation organization. We're focused on educating kids about various environmental issues, but more than that, really empowering them to get involved and make a difference for their own futures. Since the pandemic, obviously, there's been some challenges with school closures and, kids not having access to all of their friends and extended families. And so we've really been focused on trying to provide families with as many environmental activities, positive nature-based activities that we can to just give them things to do during the pandemic in a safe way, but also so that they can continue their journeys as Earth Rangers and feel like they're making a difference.
And I know that, as dad of two daughters, these last few months have been pretty challenging for the kids. Can you tell us a bit about sort of how you've seen youth coping with some of the mental health challenges of the last few months and how nature can help with that?
Yeah, I think in general, it's been a challenge with more kind of isolation. A lot of, everyone has their everyday stresses, but when you add larger things that are out of our control, like the environment, there's a thing called eco-anxiety, which Earth Rangers is doing a lot of research on, which is just general feelings of fear and even despair about the state of our planet. COVID-19 and the pandemic adds another layer of something that is really worrying for kids. It's also impacting their daily lives. And I think, these last few months have been a huge challenge for a lot of youth. All you have to do is kind of open a newspaper and you'll read about the mental health crisis for youth, I think now more than ever.
And how about yourself? So I'm thinking about, for me here in Ottawa, and it's a slightly rainy day here today, as you can see. But the things that sort of really kept me going over the last few months was a chance to go down to a lake near us where you could skate when it was frozen, and also some of the Greenbelt walks in the April. What do you do to stay positive over these last few months, and how does nature help with that?
Yeah, so for me personally, nature is a huge part of how I cope with stress, anxiety, any kind of mental health struggles that I may be having on a daily basis. I find that getting out into nature really gives me more perspective. It allows me to kind of just get a better handle on how I'm feeling, on what is important, on, how to get a sense of control over all of the things that I have going on. I think one of the positives, it's hard to say anything is positive out of this pandemic, but is just more people discovering the nature that's around them, really seeing that there are beautiful places to visit close to us. I think that nature has been the one kind of constant in a lot of people's lives during a time that's been really challenging and different.
And that rings really true, because I found personally there are things that I just did not notice before. But the wildlife here, my daughter has picked up a passion for Canadian birds, and as a family we've been out and about spotting things and ticking things off lists. And I think it's been really difficult, but there are some positives around discovering nature, as you said, and just being a little bit more aware of our surroundings. So I know, Tovah, the Earth Rangers is partnering with the UK on some missions around COP26, the climate change summit in Glasgow later this year. What would you want leaders, if you had one message to give to leaders going into COP26, what would that be?
Oh gosh, one message. That's, I think I'm really excited about the renewed focus on nature-based solutions, just to stick with our theme here today. So I think seeing progress on that, as nature-based solutions are so amazing because not only can they be so important for mitigating climate change, but they also really help biodiversity. They're also great for climate adaptation. And so I think one of the things I'd like to see coming out of COP is just more recognition and acknowledgement that the impacts of climate change are not future anymore. They're here now. And there are certain parts of the world that are experiencing those impacts more. And so a real commitment to expand nature-based solutions to developing nations, to more of an international commitment to kind of see that progress continue, I think it is something that's really important to me personally.
Well, thank you very much, Tovah. It's been great to see your own outdoor oasis today. And I hope that I might get a chance to walk it with you at some point in the near future. Thanks very much for joining us and all the very best.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.